been lucky enough to be involved in a once-in-a-generation review of legislation and been fortunate enough that that review has led to a once-in-a-generation change to homelessness law that is fundamentally changing homeless people's lives in Wales.
We commissioned research to review the current legislation in practice, see where the weaknesses were, identify what could be changed. The previous system was very kind of rigid, mechanistic, and it only helped some people, not others.
We were trying to change legislation that was ingrained, it was being lived out by local authorities and had been for 50 years, and we were trying to change that. So it meant that we travelled an awful lot of Wales to get to people, to speak to frontline workers and to understand the problems of the existing system, what could help, what would improve the system. Probably the second innovation is working with administrative data. Now again, there's lots of people doing that, but this was very, very messy administrative data. So we started with 22 authorities. We ended up with just 6 authorities where we had to use their individual level case data, recode it, in order to tell us who was being helped and who wasn't in these different ways, to highlight the problems. But all of that gave us this really rich understanding of what was going on that actually just wasn't documented elsewhere, that let us then go to those in the sector and say, look, here's the problem. There's really strong support for a change that embeds principles of prevention, earlier action, working with everybody and not prioritising some over others. And our proposals basically fundamentally changed things and said, everybody that comes to a local authority and asks for help will get some help. They'll get some meaningful help. We will try and find you accommodation. And the impact of that is phenomenal. If we hadn't adopted the approach that we did, where we worked very, very closely with lots and lots of different people across the homeless sector, there wouldn't have been buy-in and support that would enable Welsh Government to say, here's the legislation, you're going to implement it. Because essentially that's what it is. Government saying we're bringing new legislation, local authorities must implement. If you hadn't had that collective buy-in, we wouldn't have had the change in the law, and certainly it wouldn't have been implemented then with the rigour that it's being implemented now.